Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stillness in Action. My name is Tawiah McCarthy. I'm part of the Canadian stage team, and I'll be facilitating, moderating the conversation, but also facilitating part of this workshop today. I was born and raised in Ghana, and I am currently based in Toronto, where I've spent a majority of my life. I'm a theater artist, and I believe in the importance of telling stories, sharing experiences as a way of piecing together our histories, our present, and imagining a possible future. That said, today, as we embark on this workshop, this conversation, I would personally like to acknowledge the histories and stories of told and untold, recorded and unrecorded of the people of this land, the peoples whose care and um, and sacrifice has given me the opportunity to exist on this land and to be able to call this land my home away from home. I would like to mention the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations, the Métis, and all other peoples. I'd also like to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for sharing what is dears with people like me. And with that, thank you again and welcome to Stillness in Action. We'll move forward. I would like to introduce my colleagues who are joining me as part of this program today. I would like to introduce Rose Cortez and Pamphinette Buisa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
I will
Hello.
have to quickly acknowledge the fact that I know it's really early at your end of the world right now. So thank you for being with us this morning. I'll quickly pose a question and allow you to introduce yourself to us. My question, as a question of introduction, will be for you to tell us a bit about yourself, where you're located, but also as we get into this conversation, I would like to hear from each of you what stillness in action means to you. And I would like to start with Pamphinette, if possible.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. My name is Pamphinette Buisa. My pronouns are she, her. I'm coming to you today from the unceded territory of the Lekwungen, Esquimalt, and Saugeen speaking peoples. I've been on these lands for about 5 years now. What brought me out here was playing rugby. I initially started at the university here at Victoria, and then moved on to the national team. And it's very interesting that we're talking about stillness emotion, because I feel like, especially this year, there's been so much uncertainty. And a big way that I keep saying is to stay busy, is to not be still, is to stay active, because in my day-to-day life I stay active in every way I can. So my relationship with stillness has been evolving, and I'd say that for myself it's been finding something that grounds me. And so stillness emotion is finding something that grounds me in a time where there's so much uncertainty surrounding me. So that's that'll be my response to that.
Thank you very much, and welcome. Rose?
Hi, everybody. My name is Rose Cortez, and I've been living and residing in BC for the past decade. I've been here and pretty much in stillness and action for the past decade as a theater artist. Um, and I am so grateful and honored to be able to teach yoga in many territories, unceded territories here in BC. It's been an honor to be able to visit many Indigenous communities here. And stillness in action, especially during this time, during this COVID-19, has been magnified in the next level for me. It has awakened me in a way, to be able to reconnect with my roots, reconnect with theater, reconnect with the arts. And um, the journey has been a long life journey in terms of adventures and travels. And I'm very honored to be able to be here right now and share the many stories with you, with everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll quickly mention that Rose and I went to theater school together, so I've known Rose for a while now. You are someone that I respect for your tenacity, your hard work, and you're continuously evolving yourself as an artist, but also in action in support of people around you. A question that I want to pose before we go into the workshop itself is to you, Rose, what inspired this notion of stillness in action, knowing very well that those two words actively are in opposition with each other? What inspired that?
This year inspired stillness in action. I moved to the Lekwungen Territory here in Victoria, BC, a year ago to this day. And I have been seeing a lot of activism and a lot of the theater arts and the many art journeys here. And stillness in action propelled me to be still, observe, and understand and co-create with other folks, intergenerationally and multiracially. I've just been honored to listen deeply in nature, and that to me is stillness in action. The moment you go for a hike, go for a walk, observe the water, observe the sun, observe the moon, it has been that's stillness in action. You're reconnecting to yourself, you are being still with yourself, and that's an act of love. And so that to me is stillness in action.
Thank you, thank you. Pam, Pamphinette, I'm gonna come to you. So when I moved to Canada, I spent the first 2 years of my life, of my experience in Canada. My introduction to Canada was in BC. I lived in Merritt, BC. I don't know if you know Merritt, which is a small town in BC. Looking back now, I go back and I'm going, that was one of the most difficult experiences for me. As an introduction to Canada. I come to you with this question, knowing very well that for me personally, thinking back then as a Black person in that space, my presence was already active. So how does that correlate for you in your practice of stillness in a space like that? Knowing very well that time has passed and things have changed, but how does that also kind of work into that practice of yours, in the practice of stillness in action for you?
Yeah, I say specifically with myself, like that hyper awareness of my Blackness in different spaces was very much instilled early on with my parents. My parents come from the Democratic Republic of Congo, so them coming into this country, having accents, having also degrees and qualifications that once they come here, it's not recognized. So seeing how they've struggled, and also were constantly told by society that they were different. And so like learning from that, and like my parents are my inspiration. So learning from them and learning how it's important to not only move with myself, but also with my parents in mind, with my ancestors in mind. And that's oftentimes been the way that's guided my movement in different spaces. And within the context of stillness and action, I think it's been a lot of being aware of who I am, where I am, and how I'm engaging with the systems around me, engaging with the environment around me. And I think it's been, I think we were talking about it earlier, is figuring out when to engage, when not to engage. Am I being active? Am I not being active? And I found, especially because of my parents' experience in a country where you may not be able to stand up in a way that you can't necessarily hear, or even if you see in what's happening in places like Nigeria right now is going protests and speaking out, like you're literally risking your life. So oftentimes I found that I was scared to speak up in certain spaces and kind of taking the passive route. And I'm a very opinionated person, but it's been interesting navigating knowing when to engage, when not to engage, and knowing when to stand up and seeing and calling out injustices when I see it. And so stillness has been having that balance and kind of relationship with knowing when to engage, when not to engage, but also knowing what's right and staying in that truth.
Thank you very much. I will snap to that. Thanks for sharing that. So I know the next phase of this conversation, this workshop, is a class with you, Rose, a yoga class with you, Rose. I was introduced to yoga by you, Moksha Yoga, here actually in Toronto, and it's become such a practice of mine, actually, in finding my center and my core, which is something that most of us as artists operate from. And also, I know most athletes also operate from, like in making sure that you're constantly focused and centered and in touch with your core. Before we go into this workshop, Rose, is there anything you want to share with us to prepare us as we enter into this this period of teaching with you?
Yeah, I just want to share that this stillness in action, poetry, and yoga project is putting together about a decade of experience here in BC as a yoga teacher and theater artist. I've been an observer and in stillness for the most part, observing and allowing nature, arts, and yoga to bloom every day in my life. I'm very grateful that I'm able to do this at this time. And so to share it to everybody is a gift. And I really am very thankful for this time.
Well, Rose, I'll hand it over to you to introduce the class and everything that comes with it. And we will circle back after the class to have more conversations around some of the things that are registered in the class for us and some of the ways we are actively practicing stillness as a way to move forward to our possible future. So I ask that you enjoy the class, and we'll see you soon. Rose, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and in this journey with yoga and poetry. I'm grateful and honored once again to be able to be doing this. And so thank you, Canadian Stage, for allowing me to share the gift of poetry and yoga with you. Stillness in Action by Rose Cortez. The sky above told me about the predators. The earth below told me about the giants. And the trees told me about the truth. The wounded spoke and said to me, I can feel. The beautiful said to me, I am you and me. Between the two of us, we are forces. We will climb many mountains, see many adventures, and live our lives to the fullest. The paths we create are beyond our reach. Witness who will be here, leave and talk. There you will really know what is real. We are here to be here. We are moving to keep moving. We are feeling so we can keep feeling. We are thinking so that we can organize our lives. Amidst the squares, light shines through deep inside. This path has many doors, and along the way there is a door underneath a red cedar tree with two ribbon dusty roses attached on top of its door. There are many gifts: two white fresh roses, two Canadian flags, a pink perfume bottle, a purple lotus flower, an orange squash, a yellow bunny with a pink ribbon, and three ornaments: green, purple, and white.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to your Yoga with Rose practice. I am a yoga teacher and theater artist based in Victoria, BC. I bow in humility and grace on this beautiful island with gratitude, honor, and respect for the Lekwungen, Esquimalt, and Songhees, Malahat, Pachadat, Chianu, Wasanich, Sartlip, Sayout, Sekom, Pakwachin peoples. I am grateful to create, work, live, and teach yoga on your lands. Place your right hand on your heart and left hand on your upper belly. Breathe in through the nose and exhale it out. With your eyes closed, feel your feet pressing down. Ground down right here and right now. Allow your breath to be available for you. Open your eyes and let's begin our practice. If you have a yoga block, place your yoga block in between your inner thighs. Or stand tall, feet hip width apart. Arms up over your head. Breathe in through the nose with your palms together. And web your fingers. Exhale, press it down to the floor. Arms circle up over your head, energy lifting up, palms to touch. And fly your arms down to the sides. Look down. Arms up, inhale through the nose, palms together. Exhale, palms slide down. Arms lift up again over your head, palms together, and arms down to your sides. Continue moving in this direction at your own pace, at your own time. Allow a sense of rhythm and pace that's yours, and continue moving for another 5 inhales and 5 exhales right here and right now. Embrace the delights of life. Sometimes we encounter the bitterness, the sourness, and the sweetness, delights of life. Remember, we have a choice and we can choose to stay in the bitter, the sour, or the sweet. If we are presented with a delight, be there for it with a little bit of breath, a little bit of awareness, and a little bit of compassion for yourself. The more we can be there to that experience, the more we can understand the delight we are experiencing. Embrace the treat of the day with a little bit of kindness. Remember, we can choose to stay in the bitter, the sour, or the sweet. So when we don't know what kind of treat we're getting for the day, encourage a little bit of smile on your face and face it with a little bit of softness. Remember, we can choose to stay in the bitter, the sour, or the sweet. Your right hand holding your left wrist, move to the right side when you exhale. Inhale, come back to center. Hold your other wrist and move to your left side when you exhale. Inhale back to center, crescent moon. Exhale, right side. Come back to center when you breathe in and exhale left. Come back to center again and move to your right side. You can bend your elbows here. Come back to center and move the other way when you exhale. Breathe in through the nose, come back to center, and hold your other wrist, right side again. And this time, halfway lift and exhale right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, right side, ground your feet. Halfway lift and exhale. 2 more times here. Breathing in and breathing out. Feet rooted and grounded. You can also modify and release the arm. And reach. Look at your right foot. Reach to the side. Bend the knee slightly. Come down to center. Roll to the other side for your crescent moon. So with your right hand reaching and left hand holding your right wrist. And go ahead, pulse for 5 breaths in and 5 breaths out, your own pace and time. And noticing here you are aware of your feet. Notice that you can pause at any point and modify your pose. You can always release your hand down. And after your 5th one, look at your left foot, reach your hand to the left side, and moving down to center, bend the knees. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, hands on your knees or thighs or shin. Bow your head and forward fold. Exhale. Arms forward, powerful pose. Take a seat. Palms face forward. Spread your fingertips wide open and squeeze your fingertips together. Palms face forward again and squeeze your fingertips and palms open up. And as you move into this pose with your hands, notice that you're taking a seat. You can sit high, you can sit low. You can hug your prop if you have one. And just notice here that there is stillness with your feet that are grounding. And you're moving your hand, your wrists rolling to the right side. And you're moving your hand, rolling your wrist to the left side. And as you press your palms forward, palms face each other, palms lift up. And this time, pulse. Sit up and down. Take your time. Ground your feet. Hug your prop. Your knees are pointed forward. There is a sense of stillness underneath the bottoms of your feet. You're breathing in through the nose and exhaling. Bring your palms in front of your heart. Sitting high or sitting low. Powerful pose. Ground it down. You are here right now. You're connected to yourself. Spine lengthens and forward fold. Bow your head. Bend the knees if you need it. Listen to your legs. Halfway lift, lengthen forward. And forward fold, bow your head. Arms forward again. Back to that powerful pose. Right hand on your left leg, left hand on your low back. A gentle twist. Look to your left. Notice here that you are grounding your feet. Palms in front of the heart. Left hand, right leg, right hand, low back, and look to your right. Hips are stable, knees are aligned. Sit high or sit low. Spine lengthens up, palms together in front of you. Breathe in, breathe out, stand tall, arms lift, palms face each other. Web your fingers, place it around the back of your head. Chin up, look up for a back bend. Press your feet firm to the floor. Become aware of your low back. Be gentle with your back. Think about your mid back here. Breathe in and come back to center. Arms lift up. Bend the knees. Exhale. Forward fold. You can remove your yoga block here. Halfway lift. And exhale to downward facing dog. Ground your palms. Lift your heels up and down. Bend your knees. Right leg up. Inhale. Exhale the right foot forward in between your palms. Palms in front of your heart, come up to runner's lunge. Lean forward, right knee on top of your right heel. Left heel on top of your toes. Find a soft gaze. Come back up, lengthen the spine up, and reach the arms up over your head. Separate your palms. Runner's lunge in stillness. Breathe in, breathe out. Bring your palms back in front of your heart. Place your left hand down to center. Gentle twist, mid-back twist, right arm lifts up. You can rest your hand on a prop or on the mat. Right hand down. You're moving to downward facing dog on your exhale. Lift your other leg up, left leg high. Press your left foot up. And on your next exhale, move your left foot in between your palms. Come up to runner's lunge. Lean forward, palms in front of you. And check in with yourself where you are right now in this pose. Left knee on top of your left heel. Right heel on top of your toes. Soft gaze at the top of your mat. Come back up to center. Arms lift up, breathe in. And find stillness in runner's lunge. Relax your shoulders. Soften your gaze. And lean forward, palms in front of your heart on your exhale. Moving to that transition of your mid-back twist. So become aware of the right hand resting down, center, and left arm lifting up. Twist from your mid-back. Become aware of your left foot and right foot here. Noticing your awareness. Being gentle with your body. Hands down, toes back, downward facing dog. You can stay here or glide forward to a high plank. High plank, shoulders on top of your wrists, heels on top of your toes, or knees down. Become aware of the spine lengthening. Stay with it. High plank, version 1 or version 2. Breathing, looking forward, lowering down all the way to the mat. Exhale. Inner thighs to touch, toes together, baby cobra. Chest up. Press yourself to tabletop and downward facing dog. Exhale. Lift your right leg up, breathe it in. Exhale the right foot forward, pivot the toes, warrior two. Right knee on top of the right heel. Externally rotate the right hip. Internally rotate the left thigh. Feet press down. Inhale, palms in front of your heart. And exhale, arms open up. Inhale, palms together again in front of you. And exhale, the arms to the side. Inhale, palms together. And exhale. 5 more times here, completing to 8. Feet press down, warrior two. Allowing this dynamic pose with your arms while your feet are pressing down, rooting down. In stillness, warrior two. Inhale, breath in, breath out. Moving down to the floor, back to your downward facing dog. Other side, lifting your left leg up and left foot stepping forward, warrior two. Open up and bring your palms in front of your heart. Feet root down. Internally rotate the right thigh. Externally rotate the left hip. Press your feet firm to the floor. Inhale, palms together. Exhale, open up. Inhale, palms together in front of you. Exhale, open up. Inhale, palms together in front of you. Exhale, open up. 5 more times. Right here, you're grounded. You're rooted. You're allowing a sense of rhythm and pace with your arms. There's a sense of connection to your center. And take your time. Warrior two stands, finding your strength underneath the bottoms of your feet. And back to downward dog. Exhale. Sit bones high. High plank position. Your version. You can always release your knees down to the floor. Listen to your body here. High plank. Breath in, breath out. Shoulders on top of the wrists. Knees down, exhale all the way to the floor. Baby cobra, toes together. Inhale. Exhale, tabletop. And back to downward facing dog. Right foot forward, left foot forward, feet hip width apart. Forward fold at the top of your mat. You can get a hold of your yoga props and place them on the side for support. You can rest your forearms. You can rest your hands. You can even rest your forehead on the yoga block and rest your upper body. Allow it to be heavy. You can also stack up the yoga props and place one on top of the other to rest your forehead for more support. Feet hip width apart. Or if you don't have the props, you can hold your elbows, bend the knees, relax your head. Arms heavy, roll up vertebra by vertebra by vertebra by vertebra. Coming up to mountain pose. Inhale the arms up over your head, breathe it in, and palms together in front of your heart. Exhale. Resting your hands on your hips, left foot stepping forward, toppling tree. Right toes back, hands on your hips. And lift the right leg up. And take your time here. Bend your left knee if you need it. Arms can reach back. You can bend your left knee here and start to pulse 8 times. Inhale and exhale, lift. So be mindful of your left knee. Pulse at your own pace and time, noticing here that you are connecting yourself with your left leg, grounding it down around the bottom of your left foot. And you can reach your arms up forward to Warrior 3. And bring your right knee forward. Web your fingers in front of the right shin. Top of your head lifts up. Breathe in. And right foot down. Exhale. Other side for toppling tree. Left toes back. Hands on your hips. Bend the right knee. Lift the left toes. Lean forward. And check in with yourself if you need to lift your leg just a tiny bit, and that's okay. Pulse 8 times at your own pace, strengthening the bottom of the right foot, the right leg, the right side of your body. Inhale through the nose and exhale here. And arms forward, Warrior 3. Breath in, belly draws in, breath out. And bring your left knee forward, web your fingers in front of your shin. Top of your head lifts up. Find your right foot and let it go. Left foot down, exhale. Mountain pose, feet roots down. Tree pose. Shift your weight to your left foot, right toes on the floor, or right foot around your calf muscle, or right foot around your inner thigh, palms in front of your heart. Tree pose. Opening the right hip while grounding your left leg. Open up the arms, or you can bend your elbows, chin up, look up, or you can reach your arms up, palms face each other. Tree pose. Or web your fingertips, point your index fingers up. You can even close your eyes and find your balance and center. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body. Finding stillness in tree pose. Release this, bring your palms in front of your heart and let it go. Right knee forward, right foot down. Shift your weight right side, left toes on the floor, or left foot on your calf muscle, or left foot on your inner thigh. Bring your palms in front of your heart. You can also open up the arms. You can also bend the elbows and look up. Or arms up, palms face each other. Or web your fingertips, point your index fingers up. Then close your eyes. Find strength in stillness. Tree pose. Breath in and breath out. Release this, bringing your palms in front of your heart, knee forward, and let it go. Left foot down to the floor, arms to your sides. Feet root down, mountain pose, close your eyes. Left hand on your heart, right hand on your upper belly. Checking in. Becoming aware of your feet. Becoming aware of your breath. Becoming aware of your now. The delight of breath in and out. Moving yourself down to the floor. Coming down and lying down on your yoga mat with your feet flat on the floor, feet mat width apart, knees together, hands on your belly in this pose. Let your inner voice speak. Let it be gentle when you speak. Let it be soft and quiet with purpose and from the heart. Let your voice sing. Let it be heard. There are times when you feel like being silent and quiet, deeply listening to your environment. Let that be. Then practice deep listening. Bring your right knee to your chest, right ankle on your left upper thigh, or grab a hold of the back of the left leg. For thread the needle. Belly rise and belly falls. Thinking about your right hip and thinking about your low back, right here in this pose. Breath in and breath out. And you can let it go and place your foot down. Notice here the right side of your body. Belly rise and belly falls. Another side, left ankle around the right thigh. Hold the back of the leg. Clasp your hands. Listen slowly to that inner voice. Speak softly and quietly. Practice the art of listening. Breath in and breath out into this thread the needle pose. Right foot down and let it go. Feet hip width apart, lift your hips up, bridge pose. You can reach your fingertips up, elbows, upper arms close to the sides of your body, or fingertips tickling the back of your heels. Press your feet firm to the mat. Belly rise and belly falls right here and right now. Bridge pose for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Check in and let go vertebra by vertebra by vertebra on the mat. Soles of your feet to touch for butterfly. Belly rise and belly falls. Close your eyes and check in. Bring your feet flat on the floor. Come up, cross your legs. Move to downward facing dog. Ground your palms on your mat or your yoga block. Sit bones high. Breath in and breath out. High plank. And knees down to the floor. Move to tabletop. 3 times cat. Dog tilts. Chin up, look up. And round your spine, mid-back lifts. Inhale. Relax your belly. And exhale, round your spine, belly draws in. You can keep moving in cat dog tilts or move to another version. Hands down, sit bones high, down dog, and high plank. Exhale, knees down all the way to the floor. Toes together, inner thighs to touch, baby cobra. Press yourself up, tabletop to downward dog. 2 more times like this, or cat dog tilts. Listen to your back. Listen to your rhythm. Listen to your pace. Your own time, your own pace. Or you can also move to a high plank, low plank, up dog or cobra. Again, listen to your body. That's your guide. Inhale, plank. Exhale, low plank. Hover. Flip the toes, up dog. And exhale to down dog. 2 more times. Or come back to cat dog tilts. Or come back to knees down to baby cobra. Follow your rhythm, follow your pace. Tune in to you. And as soon as you finished your 9th downward dog flows, move to child's pose. Rest your forehead down to the floor. Knees mat width apart. Soften your belly in between your thighs. Relax your back. Rest your forehead. Bend your elbows. Breathe. Soften. Relax your upper belly. Soften in stillness. Come up, roll up. Take a seat. Lie down on your mat. Bring your knees closer to your chest. Separate your knees. Belly rise and fall. And bring the right knee to your chest. And slowly right leg up and over to your left for reclining twist. You can also move your knees together if that's more comfortable. You can also bend your knees a little bit higher or lower. You can also intertwine your legs together like eagle legs. Listen to your back. Reclining twist. Come back to center with your breath in and bring your left knee to your chest. Other side, reclining twist. Bring your left leg up and over to the right side of your body. Twist your mid back. Find the options of knees together or knees slightly separating. Left arm can rest, left hand can rest on your back. Breath in, breath out, right here and now. Come back to center. Bring your knees together, forehead to your knees. Give yourself a big, big hug and squeeze. And let it go. If you have your yoga blocks, you can place them around the backs of your knees, resting the back of the knees, elevating your knees, and bring your palms in front of your heart. Begin to rub your hands together in front of you and place the palms an inch away from your face. And begin to move your hands an inch away from your body and cleanse it. Palms in front of your face again and rub your hands together. Finding that connection and reconnection, and place your palms an inch away from your face, an inch away from your body, and release. One more time here, palms rubbing together in front of your face. Reconnecting to your hands, and hands in front of your face, an inch away from your face, an inch away from your body, and let it go. Exhale. Arms down to your sides and close your eyes. Allow your body to rest, your thoughts to soften, lying down completely, relaxing and softening right here and right now. Allowing your belly to rise up and down naturally. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you. Peace in and peace out. Namaste.
Thank you for that, Rose. Yeah, I will give a few minutes for people to grab some water or something to drink, just to hydrate after that. But we're going to go into our next phase, which is a conversation between the three of us. Listening to your class, a few things that came to mind, words that you use, like you said something about closing your eyes and checking in. And somehow that language just stuck with me when you said that. The exercise of always looking internal, like looking inward of us, to better align ourselves or better see where we're at, to be able to operate a bit better. And that's my interpretation of that when I hear that. I was wondering if you, both of you, actually could speak to a bit more to what that means, the idea of closing our eyes to check in. Yeah. I will start with you, Rose.
Yeah, I think it's very important at this moment we are bombarded with a lot of information, and our eyes, the moment we open our eyes, it's a welcoming of energy of whatever information that you welcome in your life. And so right now we are learning and continuously learning. And that's a lot for the brain. That's a lot for the body. And it's very important to close our eyes and check in with yourself. Like, what can you do for yourself that is energizing for you or strengthening you from the inside out, as opposed to continuously welcoming in information. So yeah, once a day or 3 times a day, even, to just check in with yourself. It's very important, and to unplug at the end of the day, so that you get back to you come back to your home, to your temple.
Nice. Pamphinette?
Yeah, I'd say with like the checking in piece definitely brings in that aspect of mindfulness. And I think when you're grounded and you tune in with your senses, you're able to then engage and be present. And I think especially as Rose was saying, that we're in a time where we're bombarded with information, right? We're constantly on our phones, we get buzzes, we get ticks, we get thrown around in this world, but don't necessarily have enough time to stay and to be still. And I think that that's the biggest thing that's come out of COVID, is that now when things around us, our external lives, has to be slowed down, how are we then engaging with ourselves to then be okay with that stillness? Because I think a lot of us, we're busy, we're constantly going on to the next thing, and it's like now reconfiguring our day-to-day, so then now checking into ourselves, checking into our sentiments, and figuring out like where we stand with certain things. And I think that checking in allows that aspect of engagement with yourselves, so then you can then be present for everything else that comes your way.
Thank you. Something that also registered in the class that you just led us through was the conversation about grounding ourselves. Like, you started with a poetry which was filmed in the woods, like in the forest. But also in the class, you talked about planting our feet and making sure that our feet is planted. Which brought me back to that image of that poetry that we had just gone through. There's a lot of conversation, especially in yoga, about grounded feet, finding your ground. I was wondering if you could also talk a bit more about that and how that practice of gradually checking in with ourselves, grounding our feet, feeds into our daily habits as to how we interact with the outside world.
It is very important to reconnect with nature at this point, because again, it's like everything is in our heads, in our brains. We hear something in the news, it's in the ears, it goes in the brain, we see it on our phones and our computers and TV and everything. And so if we just allow our feet to bare feet, ground, go for a walk, or just place your feet on the snow and just notice how it feels. It's just, it wakes you up. It wakes you back up to you know, your heart, your breath awareness. And the same thing if you go for a walk for even 5 minutes outside, just to welcome in the fresh air. It's very important at this point.
Mhm, mhm. Pam, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it made me think about some teachings that I learned through a couple of indigenous leaders in our community who, yeah, definitely emphasize the importance of grounding. And I learned this from Nikki Sanchez and Nicole Mandrix that were speaking about grounding and the importance of being one with the territory, but also understanding the privilege it is to be on these lands. And I think that especially when it comes to grounding and being present and being mindful, it's important to center yourself. And how Nicole explained to me was like when you engage with Mother Earth, you are acknowledging, you are engaging, and you're also contributing to that healing process. So I think it's important with that grounding component that um, you center yourself, and beyond you and your ego, you put that aside and you stay one, and you tune into aspects of emotion and feeling. So then you could easily decipher what comes about when you think about certain things, and that mindfulness is so key to that grounding. So that was just a teaching that came up when that I was exposed to from a lot of indigenous leaders here.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Um, just going back to some of the things that I heard during your teachings and just opening it up for conversation as to how to relate it in our daily practice. Another thing that you said that registered with me personally is the conversation around being compassion for ourselves. Um, which I think is actually quite important, especially in the time period that we're in right now, and especially I would say also for the marginalized communities, being compassionate, finding compassion for ourselves as we interact with the world outside us. That registered with it. And I would just wanted to open that conversation. How do you practice finding compassion for yourself? Because sometimes it's a bit challenging. So I wanted to open it up and ask, how do we cultivate the habit of, of, of practicing compassion towards our own selves?
I think for me, it's just a whirlwind of experience. It's like a pendulum, you know, um, sometimes, and it's okay. It's okay when you are really imbalanced. It's okay if you are angry about an experience, if, you know, a remark from somebody or something that you've read, and you want to voice up and stand up for that. It's important to, like Pamphinette said, it's to tune in and to stop and just observe. Sometimes it's okay to, and so I think in a way that is already being compassionate to yourself, because when you're grounded, you already know your truth, like you're inside of you. Anything else that comes in, it's your choice to interact with it or not interact with it. And the moment you interact with it, whatever that you choose, it's right away you have to bring in that energy of truth and compassion to what is happening, or else you'll go into your head and you're not in your body. You're even more not grounded. You're even more, and that's the strategy. The strategy is to, as as a woman of as a woman of color, as a Filipino, first generation Canadian, I definitely have to continuously center myself and just realign myself, because like I could be I've often being stereotyped, and it's like I continuously have to like recenter myself. And this journey that I welcomed in my life, it has been almost like an on my own decade of journey. And so the support I get from, the indigenous communities and the family and friends that I've become um, a part of, and the same with the yoga community and the arts community, it's been a heartwarming welcome, and so I'm so grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself, I'd say it's been, that piece of, I'd almost say it's like that self-care piece. I think, as Rose was mentioning, when society confines you into a box, into a stereotype, into an idea, oftentimes it's internalized in a way. I feel like I find myself sometimes like believing that I'm a Black woman, I am strong, I am powerful, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's moments where I feel that discomfort with that vulnerability piece. I think it's like that my relationship with vulnerability has become more and more eye-opening. And the fact
Mm-hmm.
that I oftentimes show the strong points of me, but I'm not comfortable showing the uncertainty. And I think especially in a time like right now, uncertainty is something that we're all experiencing. And so, I think that empathy component is definitely something I'm figuring out. I feel like I don't have it figured out. I think especially when in the world that I currently navigate, I oftentimes feel like there's not enough space for me to show up and be not okay one day. And then to have to put on a face, or if I go in a space where it may be predominantly white, that I can't be angry, because then I'm the angry Black girl. And just with that hypervigilancy of my position in different spaces, sometimes I choose not to be empathetic with myself. I choose not to tune in with myself, because sometimes the world doesn't allow me to be. And I think that kind of with that grounding component, it's been a very important for myself, especially in a lot of the spaces of activism and talking about justice. It's been figuring out, how do I show up as I am, create space. Because if we say that, for myself, I believe Black Lives Matter. And with that, I need to make sure that for me to see my potential, for me to tune into my being, I need to check in with myself, and that requires being empathetic and take care of myself at the same time. So I think it's been important to show empathy. A term that I learned as well was show that radical love for those, even though they don't extend that sense of care to the same degree towards me. But knowing my truth and being grounded in that, so then I have enough to distribute to others.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Prior to us starting this, we were having a conversation in the back room, and I had mentioned to both of you about something that I'm trying to actively do now, and that was like my practice of silence in certain spaces. As a way of contributing to the conversation that's happening. I find that, especially in our climate right now, I find myself repeating myself as to things that I've already said in the past. So now I enter rooms and I practice silence in listening to see whether things that have been said were actually heard, or whether I'm being expected to repeat what I've already said. And that gets challenging, because I find myself conflicted sometimes in saying, is my silence mean I'm becoming complicit with whatever it is that I might be needed to speak to? Why do I bring this up? Because I know in all your ways, in all your practices, you find ways to engage with communities and with others. I wanted to kind of open it up to you and figure out, how do you practice silence? How do you practice actively listen in silence, or maybe not, as a way of kind of moving forward? Does that make sense?
Yes.
A lot of words, but yes. I'll leave that question there.
I think for me, it's the word representation is very important, and the word representation in many spaces, because I think, I mean, especially like living in the West, it's share. It's almost like it's sharing who you are in the most interesting communities and or in many communities. And the fact that, you know, I feel like for the past decade I've actually been in stillness in action. And when I moved here in the Lekwungen Territory, when I started listening to Indigenous Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter, it reignited this passion that I had way back in Toronto when I co-wrote People Power with Carlos Balusan Theater Company and In the Shadow of Elephants. And it just made me like realize like almost this kind of like, I felt like Maya Angelou, you know what I mean, for the past decade. And in a way, it kind of you can see like my passionate voice coming out because yoga has helped me to actually exactly what you have said. And I think that was me for a long time, just kind of like being in many spaces and just observing, just like kind of understanding. And I think I took a lot in my body and I took a lot in my mind. And I was learning a lot because when I moved to BC, it was my first time to actually enter and be welcomed by the Indigenous communities in terms of, you know, in Ontario, in Toronto, during, you know, a decade, 11 years ago, I wasn't really like understanding it until I moved here. And there was a lot of learning and decolonizing of like mind, body, and spirit in terms of that conversation as a first generation immigrant Canadian world. And so that's a big learning. So being still, you know, is and listening, deeply listening, is so important for all of us. But at the same time, knowing who actually who we need to listen to, which is the Indigenous and the Black lives and the BIPOC communities at this moment.
Thank you. Pamphinette?
Yeah, for myself, when you say about talk about silence, it made me think about I once was a part of an Indigenous circle, and they were talking about when we're contributing is to listen more than you speak. And I learned that from this man named Bradley Dick, and he was explaining how when I think of silence, I think of like almost inaction. I think of like not necessarily contributing, and I think how I choose to show that stillness is by actively listening. Is checking into what my positionality is in that space. Is it my time to speak? Who am I in the space? Who hasn't spoken? What voices aren't here? And I think that's been the way that I've been trying to navigate my active listening into different spaces, is knowing what is my positionality. Is there representation? Is there different voices? What voices are missing? When we're having conversations around lives, really, like everything that concerns whether it's wellness, well-being, housing, safety, justice, things in that realm, is who isn't here, who isn't talking. And a lot of times when all you do is just talk and you're not necessarily in a space to listen, you're not really absorbing the fruits of a potential different idea. And I think that's been a balance of figuring out the ego and figuring out truth. And I think that oftentimes we move in spaces thinking that we are right. But when we all think we're right, we're not listening cohesively. We're not moving forward cohesively. And I think it's been a lot of reframing how I engage and by listening more than I contribute. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I have so many questions, but I can't take this over. So we're just going to open it up to questions. And I actually have a first question that came in. And the first question that came in came from Kalali Dalton. And they want to know, first of all, they want to say thank you so much for everything you've contributed. And they wanted to know how, if you can tell them, their question is, how can you tell when to push your body and when not to?
Do you want to take that, Pam?
Sure. Yeah. So, Yeah, very good question. I'd say playing rugby, playing at a high performance international level, oftentimes uh, I find that my body surprises me in the things that it can do. I think for the longest time, like before I started really lifting, I never did pull-ups, and now like that's all I really do. Or but I think in a lot of things, I think your body does say and speak up, right? Like if you haven't hydrated, if you haven't stretched, if you haven't ran in a long time, like your body will tell you, I am not there, you know? But I also think that mindset is like a huge thing, right? If I tell myself I can't run, I can't tackle someone, I won't do it. And it's like, I think it's mind and body and soul goes all hand in hand in the way that you engage with what your mindset is going into it. Do you believe you can do it? Now, have you equipped your body to be there? Have you trained for it? And I think training doesn't extend in the body component, but also in the mind component. Have you trained your mindset to be focused on what your goal is? Have you trained your mindset to get there? And if you haven't trained your mind, your body's gonna follow, and then your soul, because your heart's not in it either. So I think
Yes.
what tells your body will tell you, but your mind and your soul will also tell you as well.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
And that
mhm.
goes with, coming back to checking in with yourself and finding ground. When you're grounded, your body really speak out, and then you often, unconsciously, subconsciously, even dream about it. You dream about, like many things it could be, and it's the subconscious and the conscious kind of like colliding together, and
Mhm,
all of a
mhm.
sudden you're in your dream, and like you're screaming out of the top of your lungs, and that tells you something. That tells you that, hey, check in with yourself, close your eyes for 5 minutes, place your feet on the ground, and just allow your body to have that conversation with you, because as soon as you have that, the body will let you know. You can push yourself. Your mind aligns with your truth, and you'll know when you're imbalanced. And
Mhm.
it's being honest with yourself, and that's what this year has become. Like, it's become, what is your truth? What is your integrity? What is who? And so that's what the
Thank you.
body and the
Thank you
mind
so
can
much.
do.
I do have one more question to throw at both of you. I was wondering if each of you could give us three practical things that bodies like ours need could practically do when entering into spaces that um, they might feel unsafe in, or like what are some of the things that practical things that we can do when we're entering into spaces that can help us center ourselves to be able to better engage with the world. Yeah, three from both.
I think for me, the first thing that I often do, and this is when I navigate and travel, and I move around in the space, or just being still in many spaces. I often literally find my breath, and
Hmm.
meaning just like that quiet center. I go down to my upper belly and lower belly, and that's the breath for me. And as soon as that connects with me, I find my feet, and that's the second thing. And as soon as I find my feet, I think about the space that I'm in, who is around me. And then right away, you know, the forces of energy will let you know who to engage with, who needs, it tells you, because you are reconnecting to your center. And I think that's the truth of what is now. It's finding your center. And how do you find your center? Come back to the breath, feel the body, feel your feet. Mhm.
Thank you. Pamphinette?
Yeah, I think you definitely nailed it there. I think for myself, I just know that I often am like a busy brain. Like I constantly have different thoughts. Like someone says something, I have something to say back. Like I just like am ready to go all the time. And I think for myself, especially if I'm in a place where I am uncomfortable, where I don't know who's around me, I definitely simply just like breathe. And I think physically, I find myself, my body tensing up, my hands, like my jaw clenching, like physically my body like reacts to different, like, it's the fight or flight mode, right? You don't know who's around you. You don't know who's coming for you. You don't know, like it's instant defense mode. And I think that like for myself, I definitely have to check in with like, okay, breathe, what's happening. So that's engaging with the senses, is like physically like looking around and seeing what's around me. I think, and with that, it's been like I tend to go like this, or like I'm moving a lot, and it's just like just chill for a sec, and it may not necessarily be for like long like time, depending on what situation. But if I actively think about it and then do it, because I feel like for some people, it's like your intent only goes so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I intend to do this, now I have to just do it. And I think when you make that extra step of like actively, whether it means like for me to calm down, I need to drink some water. Sometimes that does it too. It's like, okay, I'm going to drink my water right now. Or even like getting out of the situation for a second. If it's a lot of different energies coming, it's like, one sec. I just need to process. And allowing people around you also to understand that like I'm still figuring it out. Give me a sec. Because that brings back agency to myself. That gives me back the power to then take control of my space.
Mm-hmm.
So I find I tend to do that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. This has been great. I wish we had more time to keep talking because there's so much to learn. I think I leave thinking more and more about kindness, compassion. I leave thinking more about breath, which is so something we take for granted all the time. But the importance of it, I leave thinking about groundedness, but groundedness in solid in connection to the land that we live on. I find it interesting, Rose, that you mentioned that your process of decolonizing your experience happened when you moved to BC, and were connected to communities there, indigenous communities there. I find it great, Pamphinette, that you are learning from leaders within your community, the indigenous leaders, and putting that into practice in your activism, in your way of moving forward within your communities. This is a wealth of knowledge, and thank you for the practice, Rose, that you shared with us today. I want to say a very, very big thank you. And to everyone else that's watching us, we're going to move on to the next phase of this workshop. At this point, we're going to say goodbye to Pamphinette. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for your time. I know you have training coming up. I wish you all the best with that. And yeah, thank you for being with us and for your time. Thank you. I'm going to pass the next section over to Rose. She's going to lead us through a meditation period, and then we'll come back and say our goodbyes. Rose, the mic is yours.
Hello, everybody. And so wherever you are right now, I would like you to either take a seat or lie down on your yoga mat and close your eyes wherever you are right now. If you're lying down on the floor, feel the ground. If you're seated, notice your sit bones grounding and resting down on the floor. Move your belly. Feel the belly rise up when you inhale. And feel the belly soften when you exhale. Move in this direction for about 8 more inhales and exhales. And as you soften and tune into your breath, notice that your face muscles are relaxing. Your shoulders are up to your ears and down and back, whether you're seated or lying down. Soften your forehead, relax your eyebrows, release the crease in between the eyebrows. With your eyes closed, you're here being still, lying down or seated. Welcoming quiet. And be kind with yourself if it takes time to soften the eyes, to relax the jaw, to listen deeply to the space that's suspended in silence. And whenever you're thinking, get back to your breath. It's simple. Ride the simplicity right now. Breathe in, breathe out. Closing the practice with a quote from the book Women Who Run with the Wolves by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. The body is a multilingual being. It speaks through its color, its constant tiny dance. Sometimes a jitter, sometimes swaying. The body is a multilingual being. Moment in silence for 5 minutes. Peace in and peace out, friends and fam. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Rose. And thank you all for joining us. We're almost at the end of our Stillness in Action workshop. During the meditation, I was reflecting on what I had learned over the last hour and a bit. And I leave with an understanding that as I move forward in my practice, in my activities, in my actions, that silence is not what I need to be practicing, as Pamphinette said, because silence is a bit more passive. What I need to be practicing, and I'm going to actually try to work at engaging in, is listening, because that's more active. Yeah, that's been a revelation for me, that it's not silence, it's actually listening, listening more. So I leave with that, and also an understanding that grounding ourselves is tied more also not to just grounding ourselves, but also grounding ourselves to the land on which we exist, connecting with it. An understanding of our body as our instrument, as a tool, as a temple, and in caring for it, how it enables us to be able to care more for others. So, yeah, okay, yeah, a lot to meditate and chew on. So thank you. Rose, thank you for your time. Thank you. And Pamphinette, who's not here with us, thank you so much. And to Canadian Stage, thank you for giving us this platform to have this conversation. And to all of you, I hope you're learning as much as I am learning. The last 3 days so far has been incredible. Going right from the very beginning with Duke Redbird, and I remember that lesson, that whole notion of land. Is land meant to be sold? Which happened, and the medicine of plants, which was yesterday, and then today, taking care of our bodies. This is turning out to be quite a phenomenal week. So thank you for sharing your time, spending your time with us. Until next time, thank you, and have a great day.
Have a great day.